Okay, good evening, everybody. It is Sunday, November 20th, 2022. It is 8:53 p.m. Eastern, and it is a cold one tonight. So welcome everybody back to Walks on Wall Street. Tonight is Sunday, so that means we are going to be doing our stock market a look-ahead live stream where we will be covering all of the notable events coming up on Wall Street for the week. Now, it's going to be a busy week. I don't want to give the impression it's not going to be busy, but it's going to be a short week, right? Because Thursday, November 24th, is Thanksgiving Day. Okay, so for everybody here in the United States, we will be celebrating Thanksgiving. So hopefully you all have some fantastic plans for Thanksgiving. Again, the US stock market and the bond market fixed income will be closed Thursday. However, on Friday, which is Black Friday, known as one of the busiest shopping holidays of the year that really kicks off the holiday shopping spree, the stock market will be open. However, it will close early. So the stock exchange will close at 1 p.m. Eastern on Friday, November 25th, and the bond market will close down an hour later at 2 p.m. I want to take a quick look at futures. So if you want to follow along, if you go to tradingview.com, type in the ticker symbol ES under futures. We have the S&P 500 E-mini futures contract trading down about 11 points. Nothing too major. We're trading at 3,962. Keep an eye out on that 200-day moving average that is leading us down. That is going to be a big issue coming up for the week. Let's check the Dow Jones Industrial Average or the Dow 30 E-minis, ticker symbol YM. We're down about 81 points to 33,695. And then last but not least, let's check the NQs of the NASDAQ 100 E-mini futures. We're trading down 25 points at 11,682. So if you'll notice, the S&P 500 is finding resistance at its 200-day. The NASDAQ 100 broke above its 50-day. But the 200-day moving average is all the way at 12,600. Okay, so about a couple hundred points off, and we are also in a steep declining 200-day moving average. If we take a look at the Dixie or the dollar index, the dollar is actually catching a little bit of a bid, trading at 107. Now remember, I believe it was November 15th, it was a Tuesday. We had a wick all the way down to 105 on the dollar index. That matches exactly with that 200-day moving average. We've since rallied a major move off the lows at 107. Just for some context here, if we rally all the way back to the 50-day, which is a key level that I'm looking at for the dollar, that stands at 110. Okay, so we've had this big push in U.S. equity markets. We've had a pretty big rally from the bottom across the board, the NASDAQ, S&P, and the Dow, about 15% across the board. But that was corroborated with a drop in the dollar or the Dixie, and also that 10-year U.S. Treasury yield. Let's take a look at that. If we go to the U.S. 10-year yield, not the bond, it's the wrong one. Wow, look at this. All right, so we're getting a little bit of a bid in that 10-year U.S. Treasury, trading at 3.831%. Now, if we could really get cranking and this bond market could sell off and we could have a 10-year U.S. Treasury at 4% and a Dixie that goes all the way back to maybe 111, I think you're going to see this market fall under pressure. So it's very important to look at U.S. bond markets. It's very important to look at the relative strength of the dollar. And in that instance, that's all I got for you guys. I'm going to go ahead and close my laptop. Give me a minute and we'll say hello to everybody in the chat. Hopefully you all had a fantastic weekend, took some time off to relax, and ready to hit it hard come Monday. Okay, team, friends, family, we are here live, 5th Avenue, right outside of the flagship Apple store, as well as the one and only Plaza Hotel. Let's see who we have in the chat. I want to say hello to everybody. I see my friend Julia M is here, Otto is here, welcome. Savi says, hey Tom, good evening. RJ is here, says, hola Tom from Colorado. NJB says, howdy partners, welcome. Vinny Castellano says, happy Sunday and good evening, Tom. Solo401, my good friend, says it's way too cold out. Yeah, it is freezing today. Freezing, freezing, freezing. Well, here's actually the good news. So I was checking the weather throughout the day today, and supposedly after Thanksgiving, the cold spell is actually going to stop here in New York, and it should get up to about 50 degrees, which is actually going to be really nice, which is what it usually is during this time of year. It's been getting cold early. Getting cold early this year. I see Sparks Carnival is here. Welcome, Google. Says, hey, everybody. My friend Sabrina Fair, the ABX girl. Good to see you, ABX girl. Welcome. William Travis is the Apple Store. Yeah, so this is the flagship. Now, just for some impromptu market research here. What is it, almost 9 o'clock at night? And I understand that this is the flagship right here on 5th Avenue, but there's a lot of people shopping here. I actually had to go in here and get a little dongle for my iPhone, and the place was absolutely mobbed. And this is in an environment when we're supposedly going into recession. Now, if we remember back last quarter, this past quarter, Apple actually had record revenue growth, right? 8% year over year. If it wasn't for a strong US dollar, like we talked about today, the strong US dollar accounted for about a 600 basis point hit to revenues on Apple. So let's see if the dollar wrecking ball comes back to fruition. Dr. Longus is here, welcome. Good to see you. Sabrina Fair and Sally are here. So I think what we're gonna do, everybody, Hello Mate 2008 is here, good to see you. I think what we're gonna do today is we are going to head further in towards Midtown, because usually the further in you go towards like 6th, 7th Avenue, the less windy it is. So maybe we'll do that. We'll do that tonight, and we'll cover the corporate earnings that is coming out. We're also going to hear from some Chinese names, and I think we need to be paying very, very close attention to a particular Chinese stock that is reporting this coming up week. It's called Baidu, okay? Now, the reason why I really, really want to focus in on this is because I think the, oftentimes on the channel we'll talk about pain trades, right? Pain trades. And I don't know, if you look at the HSI, Chinese markets are probably open now, no? If you look at the HSI, I think we topped in 2018, right? And now we are down over 55% in the Chinese markets. And some of the individual Chinese stocks have been really, really selling off in a crazy, crazy bloodbath. So I think maybe being a contrarian here, if we just focus on the fundamentals, I understand the political environment in China is not conducive to business. But I think the pain trade may be to the upside here. Okay, so we're going to talk about that too. My friend Western Mass Dave is here. What's up, Dave? Always a pleasure to see you. Mike 34 says, love the live stream. Thank you, Mike. Hopefully you had a good weekend. Found some time to rest before the big week coming up here. Now, I think this is a pretty good shot of the Plaza Hotel. Now, unfortunately this year, I'm kind of bummed out because I really wanted to show you guys what the Plaza Hotel looks like without all of this, I would say, obnoxious scaffolding up, but it still looks pretty nice. I mean, very high class, really cool hotel here, especially during the holidays. This was one of the hotels that was in the movie Home Alone. The no spin window says Baidu is one of the world's largest AI and internet service. Yeah, you're right. You are right, and they are reporting earnings this week. Should be interesting to see how that plays out. Steve CR is here. Always a pleasure. I see Jordan from Canada is here. Deep Value Alex. So Deep Value Alex, you're still over there in Miami, right? I'm definitely missing the Miami weather on a night like tonight. It is absolutely freezing cold out. Really quick, now that we're on the topic of China. Now, I forgot to drop the link in the Nightbot. Usually if we're talking about a specific article or referencing a piece of, maybe like a video or something, I usually reference it in the Nightbot, but I forgot again. I don't know why. Maybe it's just the weekend. I was feeling lazy. But I would really advise everybody, as you're looking at this beautiful Christmas light display here, to go back and look at the most recent interview that the CEO of Citadel Securities, Ken Griffin, did with Bloomberg when he talks about the dangers of China specifically as it relates to technology. Because you'll notice Ken Griffin has been saying a lot of the things that we've been highlighting on this stream for over the course of the last year as it relates to semiconductors specifically. So I want everybody to check that out. I think it's going to be a good learning experience. And then maybe later in the week, we'll take some time to do a detailed breakdown. Now, if you look all the way in the distance here, this building with the gold top, not the bright one with the gold top, but this one right here, that is 106 Central Park South. And then this one is 220 Central Park South. Beautiful buildings here on New York's Billionaires Row. Edwards is, didn't Citadel move to Miami? Yeah, so they did move their corporate headquarters to downtown Miami. Now, their temporary headquarters is in the 200 Southeast Financial Center, which is actually the building that I work out of sometimes. They are on the 20th floor. They actually leased out the entire south side of the WeWork. So the 20th floor, for anybody who's not familiar with downtown Miami, the Southeast Financial Center, I think you have Goldman Sachs in there, a couple other smaller broker dealers, and then Citadel Securities, which is the quantitative market maker on Wall Street, big quant hedge fund, took over the entire south side of the 20th floor. Now, I was actually down in Miami, I think it's been almost a week now. Crazy how time flies. But I actually was really lucky to attend an event that was held by the Economic Club of Miami. And Mayor Francis Suarez was interviewing the CEO of Citadel, Ken Griffin. Really interesting conversations going on there. And I'll be sure to fill you guys in. Dan Zhang says, Tom, how come you don't work at your company's office, instead work at the WeWork all the time? That is how I'm set up. So I don't have, if I were to lease, office space, I mean, that's going to cost me thousands of dollars. But instead, if I could just pay $300 and work from any, location anywhere, I think that's a little bit better use of capital, maybe. Van is here. Good to see you. Appreciate it. Lena Sandoval, long time no see. Thanks for being here. Much appreciated. So Monday, everybody, I see Ryan Beck. Good to see you, Ryan. Somebody says Qualcomm. Joseph Hardaway. So let's start off, let's quickly run through this on Monday. So Monday is probably going to be the most busy day of the week as it relates to corporate earnings. Now, it's going to be interesting to see how Zoom reports. So Zoom Video Communications, ticker symbol ZM. Now, if you remember correctly, everybody probably remembers, but Zoom was one of those COVID darling stocks, right? I mean, throughout the entire pandemic in 2020, and even going into 2021, you could not turn on CNBC, Bloomberg, or any of the other major financial channels without some analyst or PM or portfolio manager pumping these COVID stocks, right? The classic ones, Zoom Video, Twilio, and others. So Zoom is going to report on Monday. Now listen to how crazy this is. Let me quickly show you guys this hotel. Now I forget the name of it, but it's very, very unique inside. Has all plants hanging from the ceiling. It doesn't look like a traditional hotel. Let me see if the name is on this side. We'll see. Doesn't it look nice in there? But anyway, Zoom, I believe, hit an all-time record high of $573 in 2021. And now it's trading for 80 bucks. I mean, just sort of picture that in your mind for a minute. And this is why it's so important to have a systematic approach to investing, right? Where you have your risk management parameters, because I can tell you with certainty, there's a lot of notable money managers on Wall Street that have rode these stocks down 90%. And that is really just unacceptable from a risk management standpoint. Now, we are in a severe bear market. And the goal in a bear market is actually not to make money. That's not the goal. The goal in a bear market is the preservation of capital. Okay? So let's say if the S&P 500 finishes down 20% for the year, which it actually very may well do, by the way. I think year to date S&P is down, 16% after this bear market rally that we've had. So let's say if the S&P 500 or the major benchmark, which a lot of the major mutual funds and hedge funds are competing against, right? If they're down 20% and your hedge fund is only down maybe 8%, well, you did a really, really good job that year, right? So bear markets are really for the preservation of capital. You shouldn't really beat yourself up too much if you have a little bit of a drawdown, maybe single-digit drawdown in this environment. If you are up in this environment, definitely give yourself a pat on the back. Probably you are very long energy, maybe financials and healthcare. But bear markets are not for trying to generate alpha. It's for preserving your capital so you can live to see another bull market, so you can compound out your capital. So I think Zoom video, ticker symbol ZM, is a really, really good reminder that stocks don't always go up, right? Everybody, this is 57th Street. This is Billionaires Row. And you can see the very famous 157 building, which is actually it doubles as the Park Hyatt Hotel. And then this one all the way up here is the Steinway building, or the Stairway to Heaven building. And we have a viewer of Walks on Wall Street that helped design that tower, which is pretty interesting. Kevin Ramsey is here. Hey Tom, good to see you and everybody. Good to see you too, Kevin. Hopefully you're bundled up tonight. It is a freaking freezer out tonight. The no spin windows Zoom is adding email and calendar features to take on other workspace platforms. Yeah, I mean, it's a really crowded market, right? It's a really, really crowded market. Now, I think we've had this conversation before. Hold on, really quick segue. This is totally off topic, not to spin your guys' heads around 180, but remember when we were having our conversation about drugstores? The Dwayne Reeds, I'll never really go into a Dwayne Reed because the lines are always this long because they don't have any self-checkout. Now, if you go to like a CVS or any of the other competitors, I think maybe Walgreens. I actually don't think Walgreens has it. I'll only go to the stores that have self-checkout. And if we remember back last quarter, we were actually sitting in on the Dwayne Reed, or I think Rite Aid, excuse me, I apologize, Rite Aid's earnings report. And the CEO of Rite Aid actually came on the earnings call and pointed out New York and San Francisco as key markets that weighed on profitability due to theft. And we saw the same thing with Target, right? Ticker symbol TGT. I think there was about a $400 million markdown on their earnings report, or hit their earnings, due to organized retail crime. So a little bit of a segue there. Hey, Ryan Beck, good to see you, my friend. I also want to point out the Essex House This is the JW Marriott Essex House. Beautiful hotel there. SME Media, good to see you as always. Patricia Ivory says, good evening, Tom and everybody. My friend Paul Greenwell is here. Mauricio TJ, welcome. Gregory says, Zoom doesn't integrate well with Canvas from what I have seen. The no spin window says, last week Zoom and Tesla announced Tesla and Zoom have announced that they have officially teaming up on video conferencing inside Teslas. That's interesting. So here's my major concern. So we're going to walk down Billionaires Road just to see all the buildings, and then we'll go back to Fifth Avenue. But it seems like video conferencing is a very, very crowded market, is it not? So really quick, and I think it's important to state it again, my least favorite sort of video conferencing or collaboration platform by far, I mean, it's not even a competition, is Cisco's WebEx. It is so horrible. The UI is egregious. Anytime somebody sends me a meeting maker via Cisco WebEx, I always start to cringe. My favorite is actually Microsoft Teams, and that may surprise you. Now, maybe it's my favorite because it comes for free in the MS 365 suite. So my whole thing is this. Why would a business, and also take into consideration the global macro environment we are in, right? We are in an environment of global tightening. So central banks, not only in the United States, such as the Federal Reserve, but across the globe, the ECB, the Bank of England, we are in a tightening cycle, okay? We've been seeing all of these reports in the media and in the news that companies are announcing massive layoffs. So companies are looking to cut costs in any way they can. So if you're looking for sort of a video conferencing and a collaborative platform for your employees to work with, why would you, especially in this environment, why would you pay extra for Zoom when you could just use the Microsoft Teams suite for free, right? I don't think a lot of people, I don't think a lot of analysts on the street really understood that 2 years ago, because that was when the gravy train was, in full force press, right? But I think now that these companies and corporations, and I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, chances are anybody here, who works at a major corporation, or maybe you own a small business, you're probably getting, notes from your managers, the VP, the higher ups saying, look, rein in on the T&E. We're cutting all of your expenses. We're not going to do corporate outings. We're going to lay off half your team. So why would you overpay for something that comes free many times in some suites? I don't know. Thoughts on that? John Sorley is here. Andre Silva says, hello all from Brazil. Welcome to all of our Brazilian viewers. We are right outside Carnegie Hall. Beautiful Carnegie Hall, by the way. Mike S says, FedEx is crashing. Well, didn't FedEx announce that they're going to lay off, 20% of the workforce or something like that? Cindy Foley says, Tom, what is your favorite thing to eat on Thanksgiving? Probably turkey, I would think is probably my favorite thing to eat. What about you? Ken Glass says, Zoom just works. I mean, my biggest issue that I have with Zoom is I am always on mobile, and I have to flip back and forth between my email and the web browser to punch in the PIN code, and it's really cumbersome and laborious. SME Media says, Tom, thoughts on the World Cup? The first game was today, right? So the World Cup officially started in Qatar. The first game was today. What was it? Ecuador, I think, won 2-0. And the United States, I think, plays Wales tomorrow? Yeah, plays Wales tomorrow. I'll definitely try to watch it if I can. But I think the only thing that I'm disappointed about as it relates to this World Cup, it just doesn't seem like there was as much hype this year than there was leading up to the previous World Cups, over the 4 years ago and then 4 years after that. I don't know, it feels I just don't really feel too attached to it. Does that make sense? Hey, Wolf Theta is here. Says, hey, Tom, good to see you, Wolf Theta. Always a pleasure. Yeah, so that's a major one that's reporting Zoom. The real reason why I wanted to highlight that is mainly just to remind everybody that a systematic approach to investing that includes very, very disciplined risk management is extremely important, right? Just because a stock goes up doesn't mean it goes up forever. Contrary to what a lot of people have been hearing over the last 2 years with people, making memes and crazy stuff like that about stocks only go up. You saw Zoom, record high of $570. It's trading below $80. So just keep that in mind. Also reporting earnings tomorrow. I think we have Urban Outfitters and then Dell Technologies. Speaking of Dell, I think Michael Dell owns a unit in 157, which is the building that we just passed. Susanna H says Teams applies better to classrooms. The display is different than Zoom. Interesting, I never heard that one before. So this is one of my absolute favorite buildings here on Billionaires Row. This is Central Park Tower. And it is the newest addition to Billionaires Row. And I believe the top 3 floors, so the top triplex of this building is selling for $250 million. So $250 million. Crazy to think about. Hey, Tortellini is here. Says that's America trying to keep football from taking over. Sports like basketball. Wolf Theta says, I look forward to Zoom earnings. I do too. I guess we'll see how it's going to go. Now, there's been a lot of prominent investors on the street that have continuously bought all of these stocks all the way down, right? I think the most notable one is Cathie Wood with her ARK Innovation ETF. And I sort of attribute it to this. Usually in every major cycle, every major credit cycle, right? There's usually always a standout money manager that they constantly parade out on the mainstream financial channels. And this isn't to say anything negative about Cathie Wood. I actually tend to like her a lot. I think she's very smart. I just think there's particular strategies that work in different market environments. And this is why, almost ad nauseum, I always sort of hammer home the point on the stream that before we make individual investment decisions, right? So let's say if we're a portfolio manager, actively managing a portfolio of individual stocks, it's important to first, before anything else, develop a global macro view, okay? Because when you understand and you develop a global macro view, that is going to lead you into whichever monetary environment you're in. Are you in an environment of quantitative easing? Are you in an environment of quantitative tightening? And based upon those specific parameters, we can whittle down which companies operate best depending on which environment we're in. Hold that thought. This is Broadway here, West 57th and Broadway. If you look all the way down here, you will see the Trump International Hotel and Tower. Beautiful building here at Columbus Circle. And then to the left, we can't see it right now, but maybe we'll walk up a little bit, is the Deutsche Bank Towers, formerly known as the Time Warner Center. So the last thing I'll say about, a company like Zoom, it did really, really well during an environment of ridiculous amount of fiscal stimulus and a major catalyst, which was the COVID-19 pandemic. You essentially had, I would say, 3 years of sales pull forward condensed into 12 months, right? Condensed into 12 months, which is a year, because you had everybody, the entire world, going to remote work at the same time, and not just in the corporate world, but in education too. You had kids that needed to do schooling remotely, and Zoom was the preferred platform of communication to do that. So the stock really took off, and all of the specific metrics were really good, right? If you look on a quarter-over-quarter basis, they were growing their revenues at 300% quarter-over-quarter. They were growing their earnings, ridiculous amount, I think like 300% quarter-over-quarter. But earnings and sales started to decelerate. And when we saw that vaccines were rolling out readily available, the Federal Reserve started to raise interest rates in increments of 75 basis points, the fourth consecutive rate hike we just got this month. Things change. Times change. Valuation multiples have to come down. And that's why it's always good to have a risk management strategy, and don't fall in love with your stocks, right? If it goes below a specific parameter, you got to cut it loose and get it out of there. Touring different places. Good to see you, my friend. August Ice is joining us. August Ice, thank you for being here on this freezing Sunday. Gary Carpenter says, Tom, I'm glad I didn't have to work on those things. They're well before my time. Juan Jose is here, says, like the channel. Thank you, Juan. Appreciate it. My main man and the glue that holds the channel together, Fred X, is joining us. Always a pleasure to have you here as we look at this beautiful view of 220 Central Park South. Sam Oliver, welcome. Daz at UK says, hey Tom, Daz in the house, how's it going? It's going good. Pretty cold though. But I'm trying out a new strategy to sort of build my mental toughness. So I'm actually telling myself in my mind that it's actually extremely hot. I'm actually hot. I wish it were colder actually. It's cold now. I'm actually wishing in my mind that it were colder. I'm freaking, I need to take off my jacket. I'm so hot. Dusty Cole, good to see you. Thanks for joining. Cynthia Beal says, I always like the yellow brick building. It's like pre-war. I agree. Sometimes I get tired of looking at all of the modern architecture. And sometimes it's nice to revert back to looking at, you know, some of the more classic New York buildings, specifically on the Upper West Side of Manhattan. I think they're really nice. Okay, we are gonna take a look at Deutsche Bank Tower, and then I will continue to walk back to Fifth Avenue. So in the right tower, you have the Mandarin Oriental building. Juan Jose, thank you so much for the super chat, my friend. You are very kind. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you for supporting the channel. My friend Juan Jose. Western Mass Dave says, Tom, how's the wind? Sometimes it can make the cold worse. The wind's not too bad. The wind is picking up around areas like Columbus Circle, which is here. But throughout the rest of the city, it's not too bad. But let's see if we can actually go inside the Deutsche Bank towers, because maybe the Whole Foods is still open, in which case you guys could see the light display there. So that does it for Monday, okay? So Monday, the two things to watch is Zoom video, and I think I would say Dell as well. I think Dell is gonna be a good leading indicator for technology spend. Now here's my prediction on Dell, and I usually don't like to give predictions on things, but I think this one is appropriate because I think Dell is going to guide significantly lower, or they're probably not even going to give forward guidance in general. And the reason I say that is because when we think about technology spend on laptop computers, and this even extends to, you know, Chromebooks, whatever you want to talk about, as it relates to, let's just say, enterprise spending, as well as SLED, so state and local government and education, a lot of that spending has already been pulled forward last year. So we talked about a lot of the COVID funding money has went towards a lot of school districts, a lot of different education departments across the United States, and they've purchased with these COVID funds a ridiculous amount of laptops, Chromebooks, you name it. So there was an interesting article in the Wall Street Journal that sort of highlighted my thesis on this, and they were talking to a superintendent in New Jersey who said exactly that. They said, our school is totally staffed and ready with Chromebooks, with laptops, because we've purchased them all in the latter part of 2020 and earlier in 2021 when we got those COVID checks that came in. Obviously, they needed to bridge the digital divide and provide those students with laptops. So I think you're going to see a little bit of a pullback on that type of spending. Thoughts on that? Zozo Bob is here. Good to see you, Bob. God bless. This is Jazz at Lincoln Center. I'll try to take you guys in here. I don't think I've ever taken you guys inside the towers at Columbus Circle. I'm not sure if you're allowed to film in here, so hopefully the guy doesn't yell at us. But this is the shops at Columbus Circle. Teresa Diaz is here. Good to see you. Dan Zhang says, Tom, do you think Peloton will eventually be bought out by another company like Amazon or Apple? That's a good question. I don't know. I really don't know. But I can tell you, I'm not bullish on Peloton at all. Now, would it make sense for a company like Amazon to buy Peloton? I will say this. If there was a specific company that were to acquire Peloton, I do not think it would be Apple. Very seldom does Apple make acquisitions of that, I would say, of that sort, because Apple tends to be very engineering focused on engineering their proprietary designs and not acquiring other people's. Who knows? Ah, okay. Yeah, this is what I wanted to show you guys. They do a really good job here at the Deutsche Bank Tower. Hey, Sunshine After Rain is here. It's Stephanie. Welcome. Yeah, Sparks Carnival says Williams Sonoma disappointed last week. I was surprised by that. Revenue was up on both the top and the bottom, but they refused to provide forward guidance. Stock is down 7%. Yeah, I mean, a lot of companies we're seeing this trend now, right? Well, let me walk to the front and I'll try to give you guys a better view of it from the other side. You know, we are going to get some housing data today. I mean, not today, this week. If you remember on Friday, Friday was the big day last week because we heard from the National Association of Realtors on existing home sales. All right, and existing home sales cratered once again. But this week, we are actually going to hear from the Census Bureau as they announce their new home sales. And I think that's going to be just as bad. So I think that's going to impact stocks like Wayfair, you know, that sells furniture online. If people aren't buying homes, you know, then they're definitely not furnishing homes either, right? All right, let's give this a quick rating. What do you guys think? Scale of 1 to 10, the light show here. I'm going to give it a 9.3 for the light show. Quick tip, if anybody is visiting New York, there's a really nice cafe right here. And this has the best view of Columbus Circle and Central Park you're ever gonna get in this area. And you could have a nice lunch for 20 bucks, have a cup of coffee, overlook the beautiful Central Park, as well as Columbus Circle. And it's right here. You can just walk in, no reservation. It's sort of like a hidden gem in New York City. But don't tell anybody I said that. Hey, Haas Manning, good to see you. Yeah, I think they renamed it. So this is no longer called the Time Warner Center. This is called the Deutsche Bank Tower. Oh, Sabrina Faye, you've been there before? Very nice. Love that. All right, let's see if we can go out this way. And then we'll try to exit from the left. You guys can actually see my old apartment, which is gonna be down here and to the left. Wow, so Julia M says my cousin will be buying furniture because her apartment on Collins Avenue blew up last week. What? Holy crap, because your son left the lithium battery in the apartment? Oh my God. Julia, I'm so sorry to hear that. Okay, quick. Now, this reminds me of an interesting video I saw. Now, does anybody know, anytime I'm really gonna buy a new tech product, I always watch this YouTube channel. I'm gonna butcher the name of it. I think it's MKBHD, I think. Anyway, really, really smart kid. This guy, Marcus Brownlee. And he came out with a really informative video the other day. And he said that Samsung is having a really, really big issue with battery bloat. And I think this is important to say because if you have an old Samsung phone sitting in your drawer somewhere, chances are the phone is expanding and the battery is probably bloating and it could cause a big fire. So if anybody has a Samsung smartphone or anything laying around in their drawer, please find it, get rid of it, and recycle it the appropriate way. Anyway, so this is where I actually used to live, right here. So this was all completely different in this building. But there used to be a Subway sandwich right where there's this Broad Bagels. This is all completely new. But it used to be a Subway sandwich, and I used to live in a walk-in closet in my brother's friend's apartment. And I did that for many years because I went to school right over here, down this road all the way at the back. Maybe we could actually see it, depending on if the scaffolding is there, at John Jay College of Criminal Justice. So instead of commuting a ridiculous amount, I just rolled out a little yoga mat, went to sleep. Now, 25 Columbus Circle here, really, really beautiful apartment buildings, probably some of the best views of the city you're gonna get. So this side is the residences, and the other side is the Mandarin Oriental Hotel, which is the 5-star hotel. If you remember from our Miami live streams, if you go to Brickell Key, there's also a Mandarin Oriental hotel there. It's fantastic. All right, so moving right along, everybody. Monday, the last thing that we are going to hear from the Federal Reserve Bank of Chicago as it releases its National Activity Index for October. The consensus estimate is for a 0.13 reading that will be up from September's 0.10 reading. Tuesday is also going to be a very, very big week for earnings. A lot of software companies that will be reporting. The one that is really, I would say, going to catch my attention, I'm going to pay the most attention to, number one being VMware. So back in the day, and I guess still even now a little bit, I would sell a lot of VMware products, so like MOS, or so like VMware Workspace ONE, things like that. But also Baidu will be reporting. So Baidu is a Chinese stock that will be reporting come Tuesday. And I think it's very, very important and critical to pay attention to that because We are just coming off of one of the most harsh sell-offs in the Chinese market. So if you look at ticker symbol HSI, which is the ticker for the Hang Seng Index, we have just been on a waterfall, a sort of capitulation event, if you could call it that. Now, over the past 2 weeks, we've rallied substantially. I think we've rallied about 25% off the lows. So if we get a healthy pullback this week, I think we could be setting up for a pain trade to the upside. For some context here, if you go to tradingview.com or whichever is your preferred charting service, if you look at the Hang Seng Index, we topped all the way back in 2018, and we are now trading about 55% lower. But throw a 200-day moving average on there and also throw a 50-day moving average. And you're going to notice, well, I won't tell you guys. I'll leave that up to you for some homework. Just notice those two key levels. Layda, good to see you. Says, oh my gosh, the HSI looks like a heart attack. Yeah, it's, and you'll notice the Chinese markets tend to bottom in these very, very almost cataclysmic type ways, right? You have these big capitulation events. Now, I'm not calling a bottom in the Chinese indices. I can't do that because people tend to act on what I say here, and you definitely should not do that. This is just a stream where we have conversations, but look back throughout history, right? When the Chinese indices tend to bottom, there's usually a lot of negative news, a lot of fear in the market, and you'll usually have the individual stocks like JD, Alibaba, Pinduoduo down double digits in a day, which is exactly what we saw about 2 weeks ago. Hey, my friend EBITDA is here. Says, hey Tom, hope you had a nice weekend. Sure is cold here. Can only imagine the chill in New York City. Yeah, I think it's about, maybe 30 degrees here in New York. But good to see you, EBITDA. Appreciate it. Hopefully you have some nice plans for the Thanksgiving weekend or Thanksgiving week. Al Baker is joining us. Says hello from Hollywood, Florida. Hey Al, good to see you. Audra is here. Says, hey Tom, good to see you, Audra. Welcome. I saw some comments about Jay Leno. What's going on with Jay Leno? Hopefully everything's all right. Now, I did know that he got in a car accident, but I don't know, I'm just seeing some things in the chat. Sparks Carnival says Block, formerly Square, has been acquiring a lot of companies. I think it might be a good value. Yeah, well, Square or Block, you're right. Ticker symbol SQ is another one of those stocks that did a complete round trip. I mean, that chart is really, really breathtaking. Okay, yeah, I saw that. So one of his supercars caught on fire. It's horrible. Laura M says, hey Tom and all, watching from North Carolina. Good to see you, Laura. EBITDA says, yeah, I'm flying to Bozeman to have Thanksgiving with my girlfriend's family. Girlfriend family's estate out there. Should be great. What are your plans? I think I'm just going to hang around New York. You know, I'll probably just be here hanging out with family. Not doing too much. But that's awesome, man. Hope you enjoy with your friends and family. That's awesome. Okay, so the ABX girl says he is recovering from burns. All right. Man. That's horrible. Yeah, those, yeah, I don't know the entire story. I don't know if what was he going fast or something like that? I don't know if it was like he was driving fast. I don't know. But I know Jay Leno is like a huge car guy. He has a ridiculous collection of cars. I actually used to work right next to Seinfeld's garage on the Upper West Side. And he had a ridiculous amount of cars in there, like really, really nice ones. Really quick, I want to point out the Russian Tea Room. Now, I've never been here. Anybody in the chat ever been to the Russian Tea Room? I hear it's expensive, like really, really expensive. Anyway, so we are also going to be hearing from HP, Analog Devices, Jack in the Box, Warner Music Group, and Canadian Solar will be reporting earnings on Tuesday. But I think the only two that I'm really going to focus on is VMware, Baidu, and probably HP, maybe Burlington Stores as well, just to get, maybe a better look to see how consumers are going to be spending for the holiday season. I think maybe we could use Burlington Stores as a proxy for that potentially. Hey, Marketing Videography says, yeah, it's an amazing interior there. I heard about that. Maybe I'll have to check it out. I don't know. Mike says the Russian Tea Room kicked me out for taking pictures. Maybe you're not allowed to take pictures in there. Marketing Videography is worth a special trip. I'll have to check it out. Now, you can't really see inside from the outside. So I think it's one of those things, if you want to take a look, you actually have to go inside. Now, one of my favorite establishments here that has a beautiful interior is the Campbell Bar that is right in Grand Central Station, or more specifically called the Campbell Apartments. So if anybody is in the vicinity, maybe you're waiting for a train or something like that at Grand Central Station, I think that's probably one to go into. Really, really nice interior. Before I forget, I did want to give a quick update on some valuation metrics here for the broader stock market, so for the S&P 500. And we're going to cross over to Fifth Avenue here. But we have since had this very, very aggressive, I'm still going to call it a bear market rally, where the S&P 500, we've rallied about 15% from the lows. Now, you remember we did a live stream, I think this was all the way back when we were in Miami. We were talking about a forward PE multiple on the S&P 500 being about 15 times, or the S&P 500 trading at 15 times forward earnings. So I went back and I looked, and since we have now rallied about 15% from the lows, the S&P 500 currently today is trading at a forward multiple of 17 times forward earnings. Not too cheap, especially in an environment that we're in now. Specifically, obviously, as we talk about building a fundamental, systematic process to investing, starting with a top-down, then bottom-up investing framework. If we look at the monetary environment, I believe the next FOMC meeting is going to be on December 13th to the 14th, and we are expecting about a 50 basis point rate hike. I think futures markets right now are pricing in about an 80% probability of a 50 basis point rate hike. So if we take where the Fed funds rate is now, right, 3 3/4 to 4%, if we get a standard 50 basis point rate hike, that's going to bring us to 4 1/4 to 4.5%. Now, wow, this is a really nice view. Check this out. These are massive candy canes here. Now, last week, they paraded out a lot of Fed presidents, right? We heard from pretty much the whole gambit of Federal Reserve presidents. And there was one statement in particular that stood out to me the most. And that was, if the market is expecting a pivot that in and of itself is a signal that we need to hold rates higher for longer. Now, I forget which Fed president said that. I think I asked yesterday. It may have been Bullard. I think it may have been Fed President Bullard. Was that? Maybe somebody can help me out in the chat. Was that Fed President Bullard that said that? Anyway, I don't think it matters. But the reason why I say that is we sort of have to, as we're building this framework, think, okay, do we think right now the S&P 500 is a good deal at 17 times forward earnings when there's a high likelihood that we fall into a recession, whilst the Federal Reserve is going to continue to tighten for longer than they have anticipated? And not only that, we're probably over the next coming weeks, you're probably going to see this across CNBC, Bloomberg, you're going to see analysts all across Wall Street cutting their forward estimates for earnings. So if that happens and we get 15% earnings cuts as it relates to their estimates across the board, well, then that forward multiple is actually a lot higher. So I think it's just something we need to watch. I wanted to bring that to your attention. But now we've reached Fifth Avenue, and this is the very famous Louis Vuitton store. It looks absolutely beautiful tonight. Michael Joseph is here. Says, yep, it was Bullard comments this past week. It was big news. Yeah, touring different places. I like the candy canes across the street. They have this every year. They have it every year, and it looks really good. They did a good job. EBITDA says, yeah, it was Bullard. Also, Tom, we are 100% in a bear market and going back down. Keep an eye on December 13th for when Jay Powell speaks again. Yeah, EBITDA, I don't think you're wrong. I think you may be right. Now, when we had our follow-through days, I added a little bit of exposure to XLE because I needed to do, for everybody that doesn't know, I'm a very, very big Can Slim disciple, which is, William J. O'Neill Securities style investing, Can Slim. And on a follow-through day, you really need to try to gain exposure to something. William O'Neill would always say, you got to just buy something on a follow-through day. But the problem is this. The market is so thin. The market is so thin. And if you look at the leaders, right, stocks trading near 52-week highs, unfortunately for me, it's a lot of this biotech stuff. And I am just the worst person when it comes to, investing in biotech specifically for reasons we talked about. I think you got to have a real edge if you're going to be picking individual names in the biotech sector, because the problem with biotech is a lot of these companies tend to be very, very reliant on one form of revenue, which could be a drug that may not even be FDA approved yet. So if the stock is going up on the hype that clinical trials are going well and that the FDA may approve the drug, and then overnight the FDA pulls the ripcord, well, the stock's going to zero overnight because that was their only revenue stream. So I really try to stay away from biotech. But if you look at the sectors that are leading the market, it tends to be, at least as of right now, biotech, energy, and broader healthcare. At least for now. So this is the Trump Tower, the main Trump Tower. Now, if you guys remember from the live streams about a year ago, all of this used to be total police barricade for obvious reasons. But now the street is actually pretty clear. No traffic here. Yeah, Ryan Beck says biotech is always buy the rumor, sell the fact. Hey, Jimmy Anderson is here. Says, cheers, my dude. Hope all is well. Hope your holiday season is off to a good start. It is. Thank you so much, Jimmy Anderson. Appreciate it. Hope you have some exciting plans as well. EBITDA says, wait for XLE to pull back a little bit and then buy it for the next leg up. So EBITDA, here are my concerns with the XLE. And I want your input on this and everybody in the chat. Now, here's my concerns with what we're seeing in the XLE. And I'm actually leaning bearish on it, which is strange being that I have exposure, but hear me out. Take a look at crude oil, okay? Let's take a look at crude oil futures, ticker symbol CL. And right now I think we're trading at $80, right? So crude back in March topped at around 130. And we've tried to make an attempt at the highs. I think we rallied back to the 50-day a couple times and have been consistently turned away. So you're seeing this divergence here between the XLE, which is the Spiders ETF that tracks or very heavily weighted energy, like ExxonMobil and the like. But you have crude diverging and going lower. I don't really like that. And historically, when you see that, that means that energy trade is getting a little bit long in the tooth. And I've always been very wary of having a lot of exposure to commodities because they tend to have huge boom bust cycles. Very, very cyclical space there. Yeah, Michael Joseph says oil is reversing down. So does anybody know where crude is trading at now if we look at crude futures? I think $80, right? But if you guys are enjoying this live stream so far tonight, feel free to leave a like on the video and hit the subscribe button if you're new. We do these streams about 5 days a week between New York City and Miami, and we'd love to have you guys along for the ride. This building right here is one of my favorites in the city. Now we can't see inside, but the roof of this building and the interior is amazing. I think you can see just a little bit here. All custom crown molding, really, really beautiful. I'm blanking on the name, so we're gonna go check it out on this plaque here. But the inside is absolutely breathtaking. Okay, so it is the University Club. So if anybody wants to pull up like a second web page or like a Google browser, check out some photos of the University Club. Now there's not too many because I don't think you're allowed to video or film or even take pictures in there. They're very, very strict about it. But the place is just, oh my God, it's unbelievable. I'll try to give you guys a little peek at the ceiling. Almost reminds you of the Stephen Schwarzman building at the New York Public Library, but this place is amazing. Very, very exclusive club in the city. EBITDA says technicals is showing a lot of bullish tendencies though. One of the top traders was showing us on Thursday. He said it should drop and then one more level up. It was at 60. Yeah, I mean, I had to buy it. I mean, it's the only thing. I don't really buy depressed things, right? There's a lot of traders on the street that are buying all of these very depressed tech stocks that are down 90%. I think that's the wrong move because there's so much overhead supply here. I want to look for new leaders. So I have exposure. I'm long XLE, so we'll see. But, you know, I have my stops in place. Hey, Trap News is here. Good to see you. Welcome. Palmetti says oil is forever political, therefore unstable. All right, so here's St. Thomas Church from a little bit of a closer angle here. Wow, take a look at the detail on St. Thomas Church. It's amazing. What do you guys think of St. Thomas Church? I think it's fantastic. It's beautiful, right? The doors are like this very like brandish red maybe like an oak. I don't know. It's amazing. Really, really amazing piece of architecture here. And then all the way in the distance, you could see the Cartier store. Hey, Tug Carter, this is Tom. Thoughts on Braves stock with Liberty, splitting it out as a separate offering? I haven't even heard of that, to be quite honest, my friend. To be totally honest with you, I've never heard of it. Or I'm unfamiliar with it. All right, let's press on as we walk down Fifth Avenue. So that pretty much sums up Tuesday, everybody. So in instance, we have VMware, Baidu, HP, Dick's Sporting Goods reporting. I think we covered that pretty good. We covered the XLE. We covered energy, specifically with crude. So moving on to Wednesday, I think Wednesday, for me at least, is going to be the most important day because I'm very, very focused on housing here. And you guys sort of know my opinion on housing. We've been covering it very, very closely here on the channel. Housing is very cyclical and dependent on interest rates. And rates are going up, whether we like it or not. That's my view. And we have seen this trend now for the 9th month in a row of existing home sales falling off a cliff. So on Friday, oh, look at this horse. So last Friday, we heard from the National Association of Realtors as they released existing home sales, absolutely cratered, fell off a cliff. But Wednesday, okay, the 23rd, the day before Thanksgiving, the Census Bureau is going to report new residential home sales for October. Now, many economists on the street are forecasting that sales of new single-family homes will run at a seasonally adjusted annual rate of 572,000 compared with 603,000 in September, excuse me. So you're going to continue to see this deceleration as it relates to home sales in general, both existing and new home sales. Because interest rates are going up. I think the average 30-year fixed rate mortgage is just about 7%. That's over a 100% move in rates year over year. Wow, check this out. I think we saw this last night, but this looks beautiful here. This is the Cartier building. Outer Haven says, Tom, what do you think of the market now the Republicans gained the House but not the Senate? Well, historically speaking, usually the market is up about 90% of the time 12 months after midterms. So a year after midterms, the market is usually up. But the most favorable environment for equities or for stocks is when you have the Republicans controlling both the Senate or both houses, right? And a Democrat as a president, which we have, but that is not the result we got. But I still think things are going to be pretty gridlocked. So it may sound weird to say, but markets generally like a dysfunctional government in the sense that they do not push through any new rules, laws, or regulations. Now, I think the biggest new, I wouldn't say a regulation, maybe a law, that is going to be into effect on December 31st, okay? So after December 31st, and this is in relation to share buybacks or share repurchase programs. So after the new year, this is very, very important because there will be now a 1% excise tax on share buybacks. And if you looked at Q3 data or Q2 data, excuse me, it was the largest quarter for share buybacks in history. So it seems as if a lot of companies are trying to cram in their share repurchase programs or ramp them up before the coming year, because any share buyback or share repurchase program after December 31st will be subject to a 1% excise tax, right? That was part of the bill that the Democrats put in. So I think it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. But I think in the grand scheme of things, I really don't think it will impact the decision of corporates to launch new share repurchase programs. I really don't. Now, here's the thing. We talked about this before. Really quick, I want to point out this is the beautiful St. Patrick's Cathedral. There's generally two ways to return value to shareholders on Wall Street. And the most notable one is in the form of a dividend. But dividends tend really not to be the most tax effective way to return value to shareholders, because dividends are a taxable event, right? Let's say if I hold Apple stock in my taxable brokerage account, let's just assume it's not in, a tax sheltered account like a 401k, an IRA, something like that. I would have to pay taxes on those dividends, right? But a share buyback or a share repurchase program is money that a company takes from the balance sheet to buy back its own stock. And this does a couple things. Number one, it reduces the overall float or shares outstanding, thus in turn driving up the EPS per share. So generally speaking, you want earnings per share to go up, and you want scarcity. And when you buy back your own stock, it's not a taxable event unless you sell. So I think we said this probably over the course of the last year, to say that the government is going to come after this, because anytime you have, I wouldn't really say a loophole, but a way that companies are sort of skating around taxes, you have Uncle Sam beating down the door, and they definitely have their hand out. So the Saks Fifth Avenue, I wonder if they're going to have the Christmas light show tonight. We caught a little bit. We caught like the tail end of it last night. But if you guys sort of like the things we talk about on this live stream as it relates to the financial markets, feel free to scan the QR code on your screen. We write a free financial newsletter where we talk about the U.S. equity markets, emerging markets, fixed income, real estate, and the like. So if you scan the QR code, punch in your email, you'll receive it for free. And we're going to get back on a regular schedule of sending it out. So we want to make sure you guys are up to date on that. Paul Medis, bang on, Tom. Appreciate that, Paul Medis. Edwards' turnaround at the Atlas statue. All right, yeah, I'll show you guys that. YouTubers as a company should be able to invest in itself without being threatened with feds taking their money. Yeah, I think there's two sides to the story of that, and I really don't want to give off the appearance that share buybacks are the best thing ever, because there are relative criticisms that I actually would agree with. And here's one of them, as I show you guys what Edward wanted to see. So during the pandemic, as you all know, the airlines almost went under. Anybody remember that? Anybody remember when the airlines almost went under? And the problem with that is these airlines have launched massive share repurchase programs leading up to the pandemic. So taking money from the balance sheet and buying back their own stock, instead of keeping some extra cash on the balance sheet. God forbid if there's a rainy day, such like if there's COVID or something like that. So all of these companies were asking for a government bailout. But when you ask for a government bailout and you've spent, billions of dollars on share repurchase programs and share buybacks, it kind of puts a bad taste in the public's mouth. It's like, look, you gotta be hedged for a downturn. And, partly I think the Federal Reserve is to blame a little bit for this, because we've held interest rates artificially suppressed over the course of the last 14 years, right? So we've had liquidity free flowing throughout the system. We've had interest rates at rock bottom levels. So companies went on a share buying binge and not really, when things are good, there's an old saying that it's all funny when you're making money, and you can sort of get a little bit jaded when everything is going too good for too long, and you forget to hedge against downtimes. And a lot of companies forgot to do that, and then they were asking for COVID money from the government. Hey, D is here. It says, I love the old Ralph Lauren vehicle. I like it too. YouTuber says that's their business decision. They shouldn't get bailed out, and they shouldn't be taxed for share buybacks. Yeah, so I definitely agree with you there. But they're asking for these sort of bailouts, right? And in corporate America, if you ask, you shall receive most of the time, especially if your name is Goldman Sachs. All right, I shouldn't have said that. Hopefully nobody at Goldman Sachs is watching. Love Goldman Sachs. Speaking of a Saks, this is Saks Fifth Avenue. Maybe a little bit more colorful Saks here. I wonder if they're going to start the light display. All right, so this is Rockefeller Center right here at 30 Rock. If you look all the way in the distance, you will see the very famous Rockefeller Center Christmas tree. GGMYC, good to see you. Appreciate it. So that's what's going on Wednesday, okay? We are going to get new home sales data, which is going to be very important. And then we are also going to be hearing from the Census Bureau again as they release the durable goods report for October. Okay, so for the durable goods report that is coming out the day before Thanksgiving, consensus call is that new orders will increase by 0.30% month over month. That would be a little bit less than September's number as it relates to the durable goods report. And then Thursday is our day off. It is Thanksgiving Thursday. The U.S. equity market and the bond markets will be closed. And I'm assuming everybody's going to be eating turkey that day. Steve CR, you are correct. It is not good. Ooh, I think that kid just fell. I think they did a really good job here at the Rockefeller Center on the ice rink. Yeah, Bradley S. makes a really good point, everybody. So Bradley S.'s consumer credit card debt hit a record high. Yeah, I think that came out last week, didn't it? Didn't the Federal Reserve come out and say that credit card debt hit a new all-time record high? Sparks Carnival says, Tom, what are your thoughts on John Deere's earnings report? So I think analysts are expecting about $7.12 of EPS compared to about $4.12 a year ago. And I think it'll come in pretty good. I think it'll be pretty good, but I think on a forward basis, on a forward guidance, I think it's going to be bad, just like almost every other company. And I also maybe think that they won't even just give guidance altogether. We've been having a lot of companies come out refusing to give guidance. Oh, another kid fell. It's not good. Ooh, another one. But tomorrow's a big day. The United States national team will be playing Wales in the World Cup. I think this is going to be the second day of the World Cup. I think they have a pretty early game too. Don't they play at 1 o'clock in the afternoon? US and Wales. I think England plays as well. Anybody watch Ecuador play today? I think they won 2-0 on opening day. And supposedly, I was on Twitter. I was looking at some of the World Cup updates. Speaking of the World Cup, I think the Ecuadorian fans were chanting "We want beer" in the stands because supposedly there's no alcohol being served in the World Cup. Yeah, Walking Minnesota says Qatar didn't look too good. I don't think they're a big soccer nation, though. Carson, what's up, man? Says, yep, England plays Iran at 7 a.m. I think it's going to be a little bit too early for me to watch that. But I'll definitely be watching USA for sure. Tony Oslo says still no beer. I don't know. Somebody told me that in the chat. And Ali says alcohol is not allowed in Qatar. Good for them. Yeah, I mean, I don't drink alcohol. I don't really care about it too much. But obviously, Qatar is predominantly Muslim. And all my Muslim friends, I don't think they're allowed to drink alcohol. So it'll definitely cut down on a lot of the drunken riot problems, right? Just not in the stadium. I actually think that's a good call. Right, because the World Cup can get really, really rowdy. All right, so team, we pretty much hit everything. Friday is Black Friday. Okay, so Black Friday is one of the busiest shopping days of the entire year, and it traditionally kicks off the holiday shopping season. Now, the National Federation, or the National Retail Federation, estimates that holiday retail sales during November to December will grow by 6% year over year. This compares to 8% year over year last year. So a little bit of deceleration there. Now, Investors Business Daily, or IBD, came out with a poll, a pretty interesting poll, by the way. I'll quickly stop and show you guys view of NBC Studios, the Rainbow Room. This is actually where you go in to see the top of Rockefeller Center. But if you go to Investors Business Daily, or if you got the newspaper, go to the first page, and they came out with an interesting poll. And I want to know if you guys agree or disagree with this. They said more people this year than ever before are going to be giving virtual e-gifts. So virtual e-gifts can include anything from electronic gift cards to video games, right? Because I think a lot of video games now, you essentially just buy it. It's all cloud-based, right? It's not like I think you can still go to the store and buy a CD, but a lot of it is distributed over the cloud now. So this year, supposedly than ever before, there's going to be more e-gifts than ever. Would you guys say you were going to be doing that as well? Now, sometimes I'll send like a Starbucks gift card to clients like that. I'll text it to them. I think that's very convenient. But I don't know about all that other stuff. We'll see. Millie Vanilli says, I do cash in a card. It's more personal, I feel. Yeah, Sabrina Fair's like, nope, it's not fun, right? Mike C says, next there will be no beers when Tom spots a rat or acknowledges a dog. Hilarious. Layla says, no e-gifts for me. it's interesting. I'm reading some of the comments. Blues writer. Now, I'm seeing a lot of World Cup chatter. You know something that's really, really sad? You know, I used to follow the United States national team, like a lot. And now, I don't even know one person. I couldn't name one player on the U.S. national team, not one. Could anybody name like the star player on the U.S. national team? Oh, maybe Christian Pulisic if he's playing. Hopefully he's playing. Is he playing? I don't know. I really don't know anybody, which is sad because I used to really be on top of this stuff. Wow, they did a really, really nice job here. Somebody says Alexi Lawless. Dude, the guy's like 60. That's funny. Wow, they did a really nice job here. Tony Oslo. Yeah, but Tony, it's not like you're going to be playing in a World Cup. Junior says, I was there this time last year. Very nice. You know, I'm not too sure. Maybe I'll go see the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade this year. I don't know. Here's Thanksgiving Day Parade this year. It's going to be so packed. There's probably going to be more people attending this year's Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade than any time in history, in my opinion, if I had to guess. And the reason why I say that is for reasons like we talked about tonight as it relates to consumer spending. Now, durable goods spending is supposed to decline, but on services, it's actually supposed to increase. I mean, people want to travel, people want to get out and do things, and I think that's exactly what they're going to do this year. So I think you're going to have a record-setting crowd this year at the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. Steph UH says hockey is the game. You know, one of my good buddies is a huge Rangers fan, and he says by far the best stadium or arena, venue, whatever, to watch a hockey game is MSG. Has anybody been to a Rangers game in Madison Square Garden? Never been. Hey, Edwards says, I leave the city twice a year for two chaotic events. One is the United Nations Week, and the other is Thanksgiving Day Parade. Yeah, it should be packed. I think it's going to be a big, big event. Ooh, I think the Empire State Building's lit up in blue tonight for whatever reason. Oh, this is a really nice shot because you have the Radio City Music Hall all the way in the back. Really, really nice. Hey, Bill says, went to Macy's Day Parade once. Was so much more fun than I expected. Yeah, I mean, it's a really good time. I think this year is going to be really cold, though. Hopefully after Somebody's like face reveal. If you want to see my face, you could follow me on Twitter. If you want to see what my face looks like, if that really entices you, you could follow at Walks Wall Street. Oh, Michael, it's like you got to sit by the glass at the Rangers game and experience all the brutal hits. I'm down for that. Wow, this looks really nice too. All these trees lit up here. Hey, DowJones.eth. Just know anyone with a spot near Madison Square Garden near New Year's Eve? Discounted hotels. I don't, but I'll give you a tip. My friend Dow Jones. Go on kayak.com. Kayak is, you can find really, really good deals there. So whenever I buy plane tickets or flight tickets to Miami, I always buy them off a kayak. So as we walk down here, we are going to pass the News Corporation building, which owns Fox News, the Wall Street Journal, the Investors Business Daily, and Barron's. And this is all brand new, all this patio here. And they still don't have the Christmas tree lit up yet. Maybe they're doing like a lighting ceremony or something like that. Who knows? Seems as if they built a fence around it too. Yeah, it's still not lit up. This is 1211 Avenue of the Americas. I'll try to give you guys a better view. Does anybody know what day they're lighting it up? I didn't know that they do like a dedicated lighting ceremony here. It's just a regular, I don't even know if it's a real tree. It doesn't look real. Now some guy burned it down, I think last year. Yeah, Steve CR says Fox. I think the official name of the building is News Corporation. What's up, kid? And it's right at the Diamond District. Oh, team, you know what? We've been streaming an hour and a half, and that means I got to put the external battery pack in. So I got to put you down on the floor. So watch out for the rats. Give me a minute. All right, we should be good. Any rats down there? Usually there's always some crawling around. Yeah, Layla, you guys just missed the skateboarders. I give them credit for skateboarding out in this weather. It is freezing tonight. All right, the only other thing I wanted to mention, since this week is going to be a holiday shortened week, we are going to have some corporate earnings. Obviously, we're going to have the new home sales data coming out. We are also going to hear from the Fed minutes, but I actually don't think that this will be important. So usually the Fed minutes is an event that tends to move markets. So we are going to be hearing from the Federal Reserve on Wednesday, but I don't think there's going to be anything new. Obviously, we know that we've had 4 consecutive back-to-back 75 basis point rate hikes. We know that there's probably an 80% probability that we're going to have a 50 basis point rate hike in December 13th more specifically. And we've already heard all of the comments from the major Fed presidents, right? We heard the comments from Bullard, Brainerd, and monetary policy has been really telegraphed by Fed Chair Jerome Powell himself, as he says that we are going to need to hold rates higher for longer. So usually that is a day where you see significant volatility in the markets, but I think it's going to be a big nothing this week. Any thoughts there? HMs just hope we don't get some big moves up or down. Yeah, we'll see. Millie Vanilli says SoFi. You know, I have a question for you all. I think if there was one particular stock ticker that people ask me about the most, it's this company SoFi. And that's very concerning to me because that leads me to believe it's probably a fraud. Now, I probably shouldn't say that, but usually when you have a particular ticker that is being thrown around here, that usually means you should probably stay far away from it. It's reminding me of sort of what happened when we were doing these live streams last year when the market was raging. It's almost like we had a new ticker symbol in the chat every night about, hey, what about Zoom? What about Twilio? Should I buy this? So I don't know, it's getting me very concerned. What is SoFi? Michael Joseph says SoFi is not a fraud, it's a major bank now. It's becoming a bit of a meme stock. Interesting. Yeah, I don't really know anything about it. So is it like a fintech firm, right? Paul Medius has never heard of it. We'll see. Hey, Rachel is here, says hello from Korea. Good to see you. Good to see all of our Korean viewers. Michael Joseph says, you've not heard of SoFi Stadium? Well, if it's anything like, well, I mean, just because it's a name on a stadium doesn't mean it's credible. Just look at FTX. Look what happened there. Wow, check out the Empire State Building changing colors tonight. Maybe it's because of the World Cup, potentially. Gina Thomas, hilarious. All right, guys, what do you think of the Empire tonight? I'm gonna give it a 9.3 because it's changing colors. I think as we get closer to the Empire State Building, the score is going to increase significantly. Ooh, this is my favorite color scheme on the Empire: red, white, and blue. Wow, that's awesome. I think it's all of the different colors for each country that is playing in the World Cup. Hey, Melissa 2087 is here. Good to see you. Vivian says it offers customers multiple products and services to help them managing their money, reducing refinancing loans, consolidating debt, purchasing insurance and investment services. SoFi has no fees. Yeah, it sounds I don't know anything about it, but I'd stay away from it just by hearing it. But again, I've done no research on the company, but I've noticed a trend on the channel, and I make a mental note of all of the tickers that most people ask me about. And it's very reminiscent of during the height of the speculative mania. All of the tickers that were referenced the most, those particular stocks went down the most. One of them was Zoom, which is reporting earnings on Monday. I know, Bradley S. So our friends in Buffalo, New York and upstate got 70 inches of snow. I can't even believe that. It's insane. Yeah, Gina Thomas is like, Tom, I'm booking you a cruise back to Florida. You're going to love it. It's not too bad outside tonight. Hey, Color with Chat says, hugs from Delaware. The Empire State Building looks beautiful. Thank you so much for the $10 donation. I appreciate it very much. Thank you for the support. Hey, Remy is here. What's up, man? Good to see you. This is You're by Hunt and Fish Excellent Steak. I've never been there. Let me take a screenshot of that, actually. I may have to check that out. Now, there's a steakhouse down here, but I'm not sure that's the one you're talking about. If we go down here, you run into Times Square. I think we got to pick up the pep in our step if we ever want to make it down to, what's it called, the Hudson Yards. But man, the Empire State Building looks great. It's really, really nice tonight. Yeah, if it's a meme stock or anything like that, I just totally... the reason why I probably have never heard of it is I probably have seen the ticker symbol so much, I may have muted it as a keyword on Twitter. So, like a lot of the GameStop and the AMC stuff, I don't even see it anymore because I've muted all of those keywords because I just think it's such a waste of time. So maybe that's why I've never seen SoFi. Now again, I don't know anything about the company. It could be great, but all right, so we're gonna keep walking down. We're about to pass the Bank of China right here outside of Bryant Park Winter Village, which I think may be closed right now. I know, Leia does, like, Twitter is such a dumpster fire right now. It's wild. I think we're still in the fog of war with Twitter. I mean, my issue now is it's like, I just don't like when people dwell on things, right? So like all the Twitter employees that are either getting fired or laid off, or they're voluntarily leaving, it's like, just go in peace and cut your ties and walk away. And everybody's posting like these 20 paragraph long essays about, you know, their time at Twitter and this and that. It's going to go down. It's going to go dark. It's like, just don't waste our time with that stuff. And it's just crowding the feed. On both sides too. You know, there's the people that are like so gung-ho Musk. It's like, guys, just build the company and that's it. I don't know, maybe I'm too cut and dry, but I just can't stand it when like dwelling on something so much. It's just like, you gotta make a decision, move on, and just forget about it. I don't know. I think you guys know my comments and my take on Twitter. I think Twitter is the only pure play social media platform. And I don't consider YouTube a social media platform, even though it technically is. But I think if you're comparing Twitter or Facebook, I think Twitter is the platform that gives more to its users than it takes from them. Mainly just because some very, very big key players and very smart people tend to be on the platform as it relates to very niche specific topics, right? But yeah, I think Twitter is going to do fine. I think you're just in a very interesting part in the company's history where, you know, it's in the news cycle, right? You know, when something is in the news cycle and it's like the media is going to hammer on it just because it's in the news cycle. So you're going to see every single Wall Street Journal, New York Times article, New York Post. Everything is going to be about, you know, headline, disgruntled Twitter employee says this and that and that. And these people are going to read into it and say, can you believe how horrible the company is? Their working conditions like this. And then on the other side, it's going to be Twitter employee, you know, has 20 lattes before work. And then you're going to have the people on the right saying, can you believe they have 20 lattes before work and this and it's just nonsense. So, yeah, I would just try to block it out. But it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard to block it out because it's going to be relentless. Mr. Bubbles says, what actual good does Twitter do beyond mean girl opinions? Really? I mean, terrorists might like it. Yeah, well, I mean, Mr. Bubble, it depends on who you're associating with, right? Now, I think financial Twitter, FinTwit, is probably the best place you can be, because you'd be surprised. There's major money managers, major hedge fund managers, and CEOs of some very prominent equity research companies that oftentimes post their ideas and their equity research for free for people like me and you to look at, and for maybe an up-and-coming analyst to post his equity research for free, right? And then get feedback and maybe noticed by other people and network. So it's all about what you're using the platform for, right? And the algorithm tends to feed you more of what you search. So if you looking at Mean Girls, you're going to get more Mean Girls. I don't even know what Mean Girls is, but to use your words. But, you know, if you're on financial Twitter, if you're using it for productive things, you know, that's sort of the side of Twitter that I would stay on. But look, I think the company is going to be fine. I think it's in the news cycle right now. And, you know, the job of a big media organization is to drive clicks So this is going to be in the news for a while unless something else crazy happens. You know what, let's make a left here, everybody, because you guys are going to be able to see one of my favorite views of all time of the Empire State Building. Hey, Michael is here from Corpus Christi, Texas. Good to see you, my friend. I hope you had a good weekend too. And I hope you have some nice plans for Thanksgiving coming up. I'm excited for this year's Thanksgiving. Very, very excited. Now, since we're coming up to the end of the stream here, I want to ask you guys a question. And be honest. How much real work do you think you guys are going to get done this week? Or anybody, I would say. I think if you were able to track productivity by weeks in the year, I think this coming week may be the least productive week, if I had to guess. I mean, for me personally, a lot of my clients take off the entire week. So I don't think there's going to be a lot of business to be done, especially leading up to Wednesday. But wow, check this out. But if you guys are enjoying the live stream, feel free to leave a like on the video and hit the subscribe button if you're new. We usually do these live streams about 5 days a week between New York City and Miami and talk about the financial markets. Yeah, Blues Writer says this week, I honestly just give thanks for everything I've been taking for granted for this year. I think that's a pretty good one. Johnny says, I am working 3 days, but will actually be a half day. Very nice. Love that. Yeah, Joe Driver's like the whole month of December is not very productive. Hey, J22, welcome. Mike C says it was kind of a waste taking vacation days during Thanksgiving week since the days were so easy. Very true. I think just people are more relaxed and everybody's looking forward to Thanksgiving. You know, stock market is closed on Thanksgiving, obviously, and then Friday is a half day. Stock market closes 1 p.m., I think. And then the equity market, and then the bond market closes at 2. But pretty much everybody tries to take off on that Friday because if you're going to have dinner with your family, what are you going to do? Wake up early and go to work the next day? I don't know. All right, team, now we are here at Macy's. We've made it. This is Macy's Herald Square. And you can see the main windows, which we saw last night and the night before. Yeah, Ryan Beck says, pro tip, don't take time off during Thanksgiving and Christmas. Just make yourself available via phone and email. I think that's a good one. Oh, before I forget, you know what I did want to say? So Bill Ackman, speaking of Twitter, Bill Ackman put out a very, very nice Twitter thread. And oftentimes on the live stream, people will ask me my thoughts on the cryptocurrency markets and what I think about, in my opinion, on the broader space in general. And if Bill Ackman could sum up my thoughts in a thread, he did. So I think from now on, I'm going to just revert people to that thread. So if you're following Bill Ackman on Twitter, I would take some time and read it. I think it was a very, very thought out Twitter thread. I think he made some really, really good points. Wow, look at this shot. This is a pretty good shot. Bill Ackman. So unfortunately, I don't have the link, but if you do have, I would say, an account, a Twitter account, and you follow @Walks Wall Street, which is my account. I think it's the last thing I may have retweeted, I think. But Bill Ackman is a hedge fund billionaire. He owns Pershing Square Capital. Very controversial guy, but I think Bill Ackman is a good guy. All right, let's make a right here on 34th Street. And then we will head towards the Moynihan train station. Ah, Flea Bob, it is his pinned tweet. Very nice. Yeah, I think he made, that's like exactly my, I guess, viewpoints on it in general. So this is Macy's at Herald Square. This is the largest department store in the world. And this is actually where they're building the stage for the conclusion of the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. So the parade ends right here. You know, if you want to watch something cool, if you're going to be in the city for Thanksgiving, or I would say like the days leading up to Thanksgiving, one of the things you could do is go to the Upper West Side of Manhattan. I think right at the Museum of Natural History in the 80s. So 81st Street to 86th Street in Central Park West. And you could actually watch them inflating the balloons for the float. I actually used to work very close there. Yeah, Layla, it is a bit cold. I would say it is a bit cold. I think after this, I'm probably going to get maybe a cup of coffee or something. Because usually when it's very cold on the stream, right around hour 2 is when the real cold sets in. But I think they're doing a good job here. Looks pretty nice. Ryan Beck says, Tom, what's your preferred side dish on Thanksgiving? I would say maybe stuffing, I would say. Stuffing. What about you? Yeah, I think stuffing is probably my favorite one, if I had to guess. Or I don't know, you know what I like that I've actually been making a lot? On the barbecue grill back at my place in Miami. I've been making butternut squash on the grill. Anybody's made that before? Very good. I would recommend it. Somebody says whiskey. All right, team, we are approaching Penn Station, so we'll just do a quick recap. All right, so quickly shooting down here on Monday, we're hearing from Zoom Video will be reporting earnings. We will also be hearing from Dell and Urban Outfitters. We will be hearing from the Federal Reserve Bank of Chicago as they release their National Activity Index for October. Tuesday is going to be the big day as it relates to corporate earnings. We're going to hear from VMware. Baidu, the Chinese company, paid close attention to the Hang Seng Index, ticker symbol HSI. I think there's going to be some big movements in the Chinese market. We'll talk about the pain trade in that a little bit later. Best Buy is also reporting Dollar General, Jack in the Box, Canadian Solar. Wednesday, we're hearing from John Deere, but most importantly, Wednesday is when we are going to hear from the Census Bureau as they report their residential home sales or new home sales for October. Now, the consensus number is for 572,000 new homes sold as opposed to the 600,000 that were sold last month. Then Thursday we're off. Thursday we're calling it a day. Maybe I'll be live at the Thanksgiving Day Parade. Probably not. I'm going to give it about a 25% odds. And then Friday is a half day. Stock market closes early. Bond market closes early. And then that pretty much wraps it up. If you guys enjoyed the live stream tonight, feel free to leave a like on the video. Hit the subscribe button if you're new. And if you enjoy our conversations and you want to hear additional thoughts on the financial markets, feel free to scan the QR code on your screen and punch in your email, because I write a free financial newsletter for everybody in the chat where we do a deep dive into the US equity markets, emerging markets, fixed income. We talk about real estate as well. So go ahead, scan the QR code, punch in your email, and you'll be good. You know, let me do this actually. I think we have a lot of new people here tonight, so I want to take you guys inside the old Penn Station because they did a fantastic job with redoing it. So I want to see if I could take you guys in there. But I'll give you one more shot of the beautiful Empire State Building. Joseph Hardaway, appreciate it. Steve CR says encore, Tom. You know, actually, I don't think I'm going to be able to do that tonight. There's some characters there at the door that I don't want to really get involved in. So maybe I'll take you guys around here and we'll end it over. We'll end it over here. Sometimes there's always. That's the one thing about Penn Station. There's always some characters hanging out, especially late at night. So I'll try to avoid it and go in on the other side. Joe Driver, I have not heard about that. But everybody, I'll see you tomorrow, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. We will be live in New York. It's going to be cold again, so feel free to bring your jackets. And we will see you tomorrow. So we'll end it here. So Noodles, thank you so much. Greg, I thank you so much. Ant, appreciate it. The short guy, thank you. Mothman Noodles, War Walker, all of our moderators. Have a fantastic week, everybody. Have a great Thanksgiving week. Vivian, I appreciate it. Sparks Carnival, Bedzita Lopez, out and about, lay the Abe blessed. And to the Mighty Bull, have a good night wherever you are, because there's always a bull market somewhere and you just need to know where to look. I'll see you guys tomorrow at 8:30. Take it easy and be safe. Appreciate everybody. Oh, you know, this always tends to happen when it's cold out. When I try to end the live stream, the buttons don't work. Oh, man. I think my fingers are too cold to end the stream, if you can even believe that. Oh, my God.